Okay, thanks for joining today. Let's get started. Let's just start with one arm rotation or one arm mobility. One arm real big circle. And so you're just standing tall in your chair, one arm at a time. We're just working on the mobility for our shoulder. And what's great is we get to isolate one arm at a time. So you have a lot of range of motion to be able to move that scapula and move the arm and create this big range of motion to stretch out the chest, shoulders, and arms. And let's go the other direction on the same arm. Real big circle. And you can notice that I'm kind of twisting a little bit as I reach back. You can see that my shoulder opens up. I kind of turn a little to my right. I'm moving my right arm. And it helps me get a little bit of a chest stretch right here. And then the mobility for the shoulder comes up. When you're vertical, a little more mobility as you go back. And it's really easy and effortless here because this is what we're used to when we walk. So it's really outside of that natural kind of gait pattern with our arm swing that we're trying to work on that mobility. Let's go to the other side. So same thing, right? Keeping your posture tall, facing forward. And whatever you want to do with your arm is fine. I like to have it on that same side leg on the arm that's moving. So if my left arm is moving, my left leg is kind of my stabilizer, and it helps me turn and rotate. So I kind of use my arm and my leg to anchor my body or stabilize my body so that I can really reach back and work on that mobility. Change direction, same arm, real big. Now the next stretch I want to work on is a little challenging to do from a seated position only because the chair will get in the way of the arms. So we need to stand. And we're just going to work on some arm swings. This is great for the chest and the shoulders. And we're just nice and easy arm swings. We've done this one before. Just real loose with your hands, your wrists, your arms. The engagement happens through the chest and your upper back. Your upper postural muscles are helping you initiate the movement. And then it's just momentum, swinging like a pendulum, back and forth. And you feel that stretch through the chest as the arms go back. And you stretch out the back a little bit as the arms come to the front. Right? Because as your arms come to the front, the shoulder blades move away from each other, and it opens up or spreads your back apart, opens things up. It kind of widens it. So right here, we really open things up. And then as we come back, we really open up the chest. So there's dual functioning movement here with this mobility exercise. It's really nice to do just to warm up the upper body. Okay, let's sit back down. And it's pretty quick. You don't have to do it for very long, maybe 20, 30 seconds, give or take. Let's work on our hamstrings. One leg is forward, other leg is bent. Hands, one on top of the other. Now your posture, sit as tall as you can. We're going to try to bend forward from the waist. You want to think about keeping your chest up and forward, lifted. And you're trying to maintain a flat back. That is the goal. So you're trying to hold a good postural position with your upper body. Right? Good spinal alignment. Right? Your natural curvature in your lower lumbar. It's not necessarily a straight spine, but because we naturally, our spine curves. But you want to think about that flat low back, right? Good posture, your shoulders are down, and you're thinking about bending forward from the waist. And so you're working on your posture as you're trying to stretch your hamstrings. Switch legs, same thing. So one leg is extended, the other leg is bent and supportive, hands on top of each other, or one hand on top of the other. Posture, shoulders up and back, bend forward from the waist. Nice and easy, very gentle. Don't force the stretch. We never want to force it. You always do what you can within your own range of motion, your flexibility. Nice and easy. Come out of that. Let's work on ankle mobility. So coming all the way back in your chair. Foot circles. Ankle mobility. So you're thinking about your shoe, your foot, your toes. Moving in a circular direction. Change directions. Go the opposite way. So again, ankle mobility right here. May not seem like much, but you're definitely working on that mobility. Other direction again. And one more time, change directions. The next movement pattern for the foot is forward and back. So you're going to extend the foot, point the toes out, bring the toes in. Extend away, curl your foot in towards the shin. Think about your toes towards your shin, toes away towards the wall. And then you're bringing it in, moving it out, bringing it in, moving it out. And it's just another way to create ankle mobility, more linear, right? The other way was more circular. Both are good. Other side. So let's just start with our circular movement. Pick a direction, it doesn't matter, because we're going to end up switching sides anyway. Other direction, same foot. Change directions again. One more time, other direction, and then we're going to move into our linear front to back movement pattern. And let's go for that. Front extension, right? Extend the foot, front to back. Point the toes out, bring the toes in. Point them out, bring them in. All right. From right here, let's kick off the shoes. You can keep them on, but we're going to get a little foot massage. We're going to move our feet around a little bit. And we're going to stretch out our hips as we do it. So, one leg, crossing over. We're going to get into our figure four. Okay, so you have options. You can cross at the ankle. You can cross at the knee. Where you want to try to get set up is ankle over the knee. My ankle is actually hanging outside of my knee, right outside the lateral right knee. So it's just offset. So that way my ankle's not digging into my quadricep, right where the kneecap is. So you don't want that extra pressure on there. You want to kind of have the tissue on top. Your foot should be able to move pretty freely while it's there. Apply pressure if you can. Now we're not messing with the foot yet. We're going to stretch the hip, the piriformis, the glute area. Get a little low back relief. So the challenge is trying to get mobility through the ankle as you try to get the shin somewhat parallel to the floor, but you're always working within your own range of motion. Don't force it. You do what you can. Now here, it's pretty advanced, the mobility that I'm able to create here, because I work on this quite a bit, but this is tough. Now I'm getting my body weight in there. my elbow, my arm is really digging in, pushing down on the inside part of my knee. And so from here, I can take a little slack off that leg, and now I can transition to my foot. So you leave the leg exactly where it is, and you're just trying to use your thumb and just move tissue around, right where the arch is. Just move and dig the thumb in a little bit. Play with the toes. Create movement. Our feet get stuck in our shoe. They're trapped in our shoes. And they're confined within the shoe, right? They have very limited range of movement, range of motion, right? The toes are only allowed to move with whatever space is provided by the shoe. So when you get your feet out of the shoe, you want to try to move those toes in such a way where they can't move that way inside the shoe, right? So you're trying to create new type of movement patterns for your toes, the balls of your feet, the metatarsals, right, that lead into the toes. So again, you're just kind of squeezing, using your hand. You can even squeeze your heel. There's tissue there, right? The heel feels pretty good. You need a little bit of hand strength. So, it's a great way to develop hand strength while giving the benefit to your feet, because a lot of toxins, nerve endings come down and pool in our feet. So being able to manipulate your foot, get a massage, do, some type of ice bath with Epsom salt to pull out the toxins. Those are all good things to try to get those toxins out of there. The Epsom salt with ice is good. If you can't handle ice, you just get it as cold as your body will allow you. All right, other side, the Epsom salt helps to pull the impurities. The toxins that pull at the end of our feet. So we're on the other side now. First, we work on the hip, the leg. We'll get to the foot in a little bit. Nice and easy. You kind of figure it out. You're either crossing at the ankles, the knees, or you're in ankle over the knee or outside of the knee. And you feel, you might feel it right now. I can feel the tingling from the massage that I just gave on my left foot. It's almost as if you feel that the movement that you created, the massage and the tissue manipulation that you were able to create, kind of left a tingling feeling at the bottom of your foot, and that's good. It's a good sign. It means that there was some type of reaction happening there. You're creating movement, and again, it just feels good to move the foot because there's so many bones, so many working components in our foot. Like I said, when they're confined and inside a shoe, they don't get to move a whole lot. So when they're outside of that shoe, you want to get that movement. There's so many bones in here, so many muscles and tendons, nerve endings, so much stuff in the foot. So it's good to get that movement, to get a massage. You can always use a tennis ball or a lacrosse ball on the floor, and you roll out on your foot. So you have that ball underneath your foot, and you kind of just move it around. You can do it from a seated position, a standing position. And so we're transitioning now, laying off the hip a little bit. I've been working on my foot right away. I kind of just got right into it. Manipulating the toes. You can pull on them, separate them, do whatever you want to do. If they're in that sock, you have to think the sock is also partially confining the foot as well. But you can manipulate your foot, your toes, a little bit better with the sock, obviously, than when it's inside the shoe. So There's a little kind of confinement within a sock, but just create the movement anyway. Move it around. Massage the arch. Squeeze the heel. All right, moving on. Now that we got the hips, let's segue into the lower back, because that figure four stretch helps to loosen out the lower back, loosen up the pelvis a little bit. So we're going to work on some rotation here. So this one you always want to be careful with. We're just trying to turn and look over your shoulder. Fairly natural movement in the sense when you're driving or you have to look over your shoulder for whatever reason. We do have a little ability to rotate through our spine, but you always want to be careful not to overdo it and work slowly. Go to the other side. And you're using your chair, your body, your arms for leverage to help you turn and twist. Go to the other side again. Nice and easy. Again, don't force it. Just very gentle. Always gentle with our stretching. You always want to be so gentle with your body. And the more and more you do it, the more and more you know your body and where you can go. You start to understand your range of motion, your body's limitations. Like, so you know, for example, your hamstrings are always tight. Or that figure four stretch on the right side is always a little tougher. Yeah, you just kind of know where you're at over time. Moving on, let's work on lateral flexion. So still kind of working with the spine. We are working with the spine. But you still want to be mindful of your movement, starting slow. Lateral flexion, moving sideways. So now we're bending to the side. Right, again, your spine is able to do this bending. On occasion, though, it can be a little problematic if you have spinal issues. So just be careful. Right? But just because you have spinal issues doesn't mean you want to completely stay away from it. Unless it's causing pain and discomfort, then you don't do it. But if it feels like you're getting a stretch and you feel like it's benefiting you, then by all means do it. But if it is causing pain, that's when we don't do it, or we restrict our movement. Right? We limit our range of motion. If it's hard to get all the way down and it's kind of painful, but you're able to move freely within a certain range of motion, then that's what you do. So again, you figure out your body over time. And you know what you can and cannot do. And you just, again, try not to force it. Just take it easy. Go slow. Nice and controlled. One more time to each side. I really like this stretch because then you can really start to get that lower back in there. Now right here on this other side, the last one, notice my arm now. I'm reaching out towards the wall. My hand is on the floor. I have long arms, so I have an advantage here. But even if you're not on the floor and you're hovering, you can still reach with your arm and go out to the side. And then we come back to the other side. But that requires a lot of core stabilization, a lot of core work. So you got to tighten up that core. As we come one more time to the other side, you come down as far as you can and then reach out with that arm. And you start to feel this really, really big stretch. Pretty much from the armpit deltoid area down through the lats all the way coming into the obliques, your lower back. It's a pretty good stretch there. All right. Almost there. Let's finish with our neck. Relax your shoulders. Really drop the shoulders, right? Try not to shrug. Shoulders are relaxed. Arms are relaxed in your lap. Ear coming down towards the shoulder. Nice and easy. Slowly transition to the other side. Nice and easy. Bring the chin down towards the clavicle. And nice and easy. Let's finish with a couple more things. Our wrists, our hands. So just drawing a circle, very similar to what we did with our foot, right? Going in a circle both directions, but now we can move both hands at the same time. A little easier to manage with both hands moving. Whatever pattern, movement pattern feels good for you. Change directions. And again, we go in a circle, change directions again. One more time, other direction, and just trying to get as big of a circle as you can. And last one, going forward and back. Forward, front to back. Fingers down, fingers up. And you start to feel those forearms. Last thing we're going to do, standing. We're going to stretch out the calves. The calves are also part of the feet. Ankle mobility. Maybe the hamstring a little bit. So you're going to use a chair. Hands behind the chair. You're standing behind your chair. You're standing in pretty close. Hands on top of the backrest of the chair. Step back. And it's almost like you're in a little bit of a lunge position, right? That front leg is bent. It's supporting you. Back leg is straight. And the heel is down. The feet are pointing straight ahead. Both feet pointing straight ahead. Both feet are flat. Heels are down, right? And you're trying to keep that back leg straight. Also make sure you have a little width to your stance, right? So you have space in between the feet, right? Because you don't want to have your stance narrow. You'll lose your balance. So a little width to your stance, good tall posture. You can use a chair or not, you don't have to. It's a little easier to get the heel down and you feel a greater stretch because you can start to lean into it and really kind of step back and drive the heel down. And you get that good stretch through the calf. Other side. Get a nice calf stretch. Alright, so feet are pointing straight ahead, feet are flat, heel is down on the back foot, back leg is somewhat straight. Maybe a little bend in the knee is okay. But you play with your length, right? Whatever works for you. Make sure you have width to your stance. Front leg is bent. And you're supported. Or you should feel stable, secure. And that is all for today. We got it all done. Some new stuff in there. Some standing stuff. Mobility. The calf stretch. Because the calves are so good. And you'll feel it in the feet too afterwards. So that's it. We're all done. Thanks for joining. Until next time, take care. Stay healthy. And bravo. Good job. Hope you feel better.